So what is cooler than Wolverine and the Ghost Rider? Well, if you somehow were able to put them together, and that's exactly what you get here with HELLVERINE, an entirely new and powerful entity that causes absolute chaos and wreckage wherever it goes. Now my name is AJ here at the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. And so we initially start and pick up with a little backstory. As you see, just in the same way Ghost Rider is possessed almost, or working together with the spirit of vengeance, this here we see it's another spirit or demon that goes by the name of BAGRA-GHUL. Moving forward though, I'm just gonna call him Bagra. And as you see, Bagra had a vessel of a little child, who eventually grew up and struck a deal with Project Hellfire. And what is Project Hellfire? Well, it is a government-sanctioned organization and initiative that looks to weaponize Hellfire energy, or cursed objects and items. And because of this, they wanted Bagra, the spirit, as a weapon, because he was pretty powerful, so they put him in a new host. And who was this host? Well, it was originally Wolverine. And so after getting infused with the spirit, he became the HELLVERINE, the ultimate killing machine. But of course, seeing as the BAGRA-GHUL was obviously a evil and bad thing, the HELLVERINE became what you would expect, a evil and bad thing. And the only one capable of even stopping him was the spirit of vengeance, or the Ghost Rider. And after a little clash, the Ghost Rider was successful. The demon was sealed away. But in fact, BAGRA-GHUL has been healing, hibernating, waiting to return. And now it is ready to rise again, as it rockets off looking for a new host. But for now though, we move over and see two interesting things and places. First, we see a ship dock, and another some kind of church. And with the ship dock, we see what's basically going on, people being sold into human trafficking. And with the church, we see a corrupt priest drugging its members, some of them even dying. And in both instances, one singular person comes and puts a stop to it all. It is the HELLVERINE, as he kills the truck drivers that were capturing the people, and also the priest that was drugging its members. As the comic goes on to say, BAGRA-GHUL has risen once more. The HELLVERINE walks among us. But something is different this time. As before, the ghoul was an evil entity, but now it seems its resurrection brings change, as it seems to be doing good in its own twisted way, saving people in the same way the Punisher does, killing and brutally maiming the bad guys. As you then move over and see another instance of this, as we see at a mansion with a bunch of people seemingly having a party, with a comic going on to say, some servants of hell have a sense beyond smell or touch. They hear the sound of sin. They can taste evil in the air. Such is the case with BAGRA-GHUL, because it knows darkness the way a compass knows north. As it turns out, the so-called mansion party is filled with rich, evil, cannibalistic people. And as such, the HELLVERINE comes for the sinners, busting through the window, and after a short one-sided scuffle, we see exactly what happens to the people, as the entire mansion burns to the ground. And so again, you might ask, why does this evil entity seemingly do good in its own twisted way? Well, the comic then goes on to explain, Logan over the years was scarred with regret for all of the terrible things he has done, but he weaponized that guilt. Now when Logan lashed out or even killed someone, he did so with a repentant spirit. And in the same way, in parallel, BAGRA-GHUL, the entity that is making him the HELLVERINE that he is now, can still bathe in blood and delight in pain while punishing the Punishers. Punishers like he had just sensed now. We then move over and see what's going on at a certain funeral. A funeral for members of an elite fire team for the US government, a unit more dangerous and effective than the army. But of course, they are still human, for now, and an ambush put an end to them. So after the actual funeral and their families mourn, we then see a wonky-eyed man put together a squad to dig up their bodies. Why? Because the government and his new special sanctioned organization has a fate worse than death for them. As you then pick up at the Pentagon, but not in it, underneath it. As underneath it, it is the home for something called the Project Hellfire. And as you would expect, Project Hellfire is a bunch of humans trying to weaponize Hellfire energy and anything dealing with demons, hell, or anything of that sort. Because if it can be made a weapon and turned into super soldiers of some sort, the government's going to want its hand in it. But their plan here isn't foolproof, as the main scientist even goes on to say, we don't know nearly enough about Hellfire energy. But the wonky-eyed man pushes forward anyway. After digging up and setting up the 5 bodies of these highly trained elite members, they set him up for experiment. As the comic goes on to read, this lab is devoted to the arsenal of hell, iron forged with the blood of sinners, weapons charged with the screams of the damned, sulfurous bombs, burning chains, poisonous hooks that cause torturous pain, and pain, right down to the marrow of one's soul. Hellfire as a weapon, and Hellfire as an energy source, as we see them get locked up in some sort of chamber. And as the wonky-eyed man starts the process, it lights up and actually works to an extent. Because yes, they actually are successful. The dead agents got reanimated and became super soldiers, if you will. They successfully weaponized the Hellfire energy, but the downside is, they now are of course evil and attacking everyone, including the agents of this Hellfire project, as they arise and literally start killing everyone. And these new agents of hell run through everyone and everything. Nothing there at the entire Pentagon can even stop or slow them down, as they brutalize their way outside, continuing on their chaos and massacre, looking virtually unstoppable. But that is until they hear a motorcycle, as it is none other than this new Hellverine, literally coming in at full speed, cutting one of them in half, killing her instantly. And so the real battle begins, with this new Hellverine versus the rest of these Hellfire agents. But more of the US military gets involved, with more of them arriving on helicopter, shooting at all of the flaming people. And as one of the Hellfire agents uses his chains, he yanks the helicopter down, crashing him into this Hellverine, blowing him up. And what happens next? Well, here's where the comic takes a little turn, as you see this entire battle was a flashback, happening days prior. And so we actually now cut over to the current day, where we see Wolverine chained up somewhere, which looks like an interrogation room. And how did he even get here? Well, merely hours before, we seen a bunch of agents ambush Wolverine at some random bar. And of course, with them not able to hold him in a fight, they decide to tranquilize him with enough tranq darts to put down many polar bears, leading us to where he is now restrained and in this interrogation room. And as he is here, it seems this wonky-eyed general from earlier is the one talking to him, with him saying, "When we came for you, why didn't you use your powers?" And Wolverine pops his claws saying, "I've got your powers right here." But no, that's not the one he's talking about, not his little claws, he's talking about the full flaming form he has. Or apparently has, as he shows Wolverine some footage of it, but Logan has no recollection or memory of this, saying that's not me. Wolverine seems to be very adamant about this, as he says, "You aren't listening. That thing got ripped out of me by the Ghost Rider, because previously he was the Hellverine." And with Wolverine even being confused, saying what you're describing doesn't make any sense. That thing, the BAGRA-GHUL, is the bad guy. It doesn't hunt the bad guys. So the wonky-eyed general then starts to show Wolverine more footage of the giant battle that happened before with the Hellverine and the other agents, saying that they killed more than 50 people in the span of an hour, burning through one of the most secure and highly guarded facilities on the planet, the Pentagon. Our firepower had no impact, but the Hellverine sure did, and I need to fight fire with fire, Logan. Help me, as he literally unshackles his chains. So Wolverine decides to help, going over the footage once more, saying, "Yeah, I can sniff things out and see better than most." And as he slows down the footage, he sees the exact moment when the helicopter blew up against the Hellverine. And as the smoke slightly cleared, you see markings on his skin. And if you know anything about Wolverine, you would immediately know who this is, as it even shocks and surprises Logan himself, with him saying it can't be, because it is a tattoo belonging to someone very important who was thought to be dead. And as we cut over somewhere in Maryland at the same current time, we see the Hellverine, meaning it is two separate people and not Logan himself. And just then it's revealed that the Hellverine is his son. But this revelation leaves Logan dumbfounded because, as I said before, he should be dead, and definitely not alive with this new Hellfire energy and powers. But of course, that is the end of this issue, as this video comes to a close. As always, if you enjoyed, leave a like, or even subscribe if you're new and want to see more in the future. This is the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.